Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we are doing something a little different. We aren't just looking at a topic. We are stepping into a time machine.
Yeah, we really are.
We are going back to 2013, to a Sunday night that I think legitimately gave half the viewing public an absolute panic attack. We are talking about Breaking Bad.
And not just Breaking Bad in general, you know. We are zeroing in on the episode that basically lit the fuse for the grand finale.
Right.
This is season 5, episode 13. Taji Lee.
Just saying that name, Taji Lee, it sounds almost mythical, doesn't it? Like a place where legends go to die.
It really does.
And in this show, that is pretty much exactly what it is.
You know, when we talk about television history, there are episodes that function as setup and there are episodes that function as payoff.
Right, the big explosive ones.
Exactly. But Taji Lee is this incredible high-velocity hybrid. It starts as a careful strategic chess match, and it ends as a complete demolition derby of literally everything Walter White has built.
It is the tipping point.
Oh, absolutely.
And the source material we are looking at today for this deep dive, which is based on the incredibly comprehensive Wikipedia entry for the episode, covers the plot, break down the production notes, and the critical reception.
Yeah, it is a wealth of information.
It really is. And all of it points to this specific 47 minutes as the precise moment the Empire business model officially fails.
It is the exact moment chaos just completely takes the wheel.
So here is the mission statement for everyone listening. We are going to unpack this thing scene by scene, beat by beat.
Because you already know the plot.
Exactly. You know the plot.
Oh, yeah.
You know Walt gets in a car. You know guns are drawn. But we want to understand the why.
The mechanics behind the trap.
Right. Why did the writer, George Mastras, structure it this way? Why did the director, Michelle MacLaren, choose those specific wide angles? And why, for the love of God, did Walt make that phone call?
That phone call is going to take up a very significant portion of our brain power today. I can promise you that.
Good, because I still have nightmares about it, honestly.
It is deeply stressful television.
Very. But before we get to the panic attack in the desert, let us start with segment 1. The architecture of the episode. Who exactly built this trap?
Well, you mentioned George Mastras as the writer. He has been with the show a long time and handled some of the grittier, more plot-heavy episodes.
Right. He knows these characters inside and out.
He does. But the real headline here, from a production standpoint, is Michelle MacLaren in the director's chair.
The absolute queen of tension.
Unquestionably. If you look at her track record on Breaking Bad, she directed 1 Minute, which is that incredible shootout with the cousins in the parking lot.
Oh, wow, yeah.
She also did Salud, which was the massacre at Don Eladio's pool. She knows exactly how to stage action, but more importantly, she knows how to stage the dread before the action.
That is such a good distinction. Because Taji Lee isn't an action movie for the first 40 minutes. It is a Western. It is a slow burn standoff.
It is pure Sergio Leone. And having her pair up with Michael Slovis, the cinematographer, and Kelly Dixon, the editor.
That is basically the A-team right there.
It really is. The visual language of this episode is stark. It is wide and it is unforgiving. They use the landscape of New Mexico as a character in a way that feels very, very final.
Speaking of the landscape, let us talk about the title, Taji Lee. It refers to the Taji Lee Indian Reservation west of Albuquerque. But for the characters, this is not just a spot on a map.
No, it is not. And this is where the writing gets really elegant. We have to go all the way back to the beginning, the pilot episode.
Oh, the cow house.
The cow house, exactly.
For those who might have forgotten the deep lore, explain the connection here.
So in the very first episode, when Walt and Jesse need a place to cook meth in the RV where they won't be disturbed, they drive out into the middle of nowhere.
Into the desert.
Right. And that location, specifically that cluster of red rock formations, is Taji Lee. It is the birthplace of their entire enterprise.
Which makes it so poetic that it becomes the burial ground. Right?
It is a brilliant full circle moment, a narrative bookend. You have the Alpha and the Omega. Walt started his journey as a criminal in this exact dirt, wearing nothing but his underwear and a gas mask, terrified of the sirens he thought he heard coming for him.
Just a panicked amateur.
Exactly. And now 2 years later in the show's timeline, he returns to the exact same spot to defend his massive fortune.
It is interesting because usually when a show brings you back to the start, it is for nostalgia. Yeah. It is a look how far we have come kind of moment.
Right, a victory lap.
Yeah, victory lap. But here it feels like a trap. It feels like the desert has just been waiting for him to come back so it can swallow him whole.
That is a really beautiful way to put it. The desert is completely indifferent to him. In the pilot, the desert offered him freedom and isolation. Now it offers him absolutely no cover.
Just dead space.
It is just open space where he can be seen from miles away. And that visual openness is crucial to the tension of the final act. There is literally nowhere to hide.
Before we get to the heavy thematic stuff, I found a detail in the production notes that I actually didn't know before, and it kind of blew my mind.
Oh, yeah, what was that?
It is about the driving scene. Filming began on February 4th, 2013, and later in the episode, Walt is driving like a maniac to get to the money.
Ah, yes, the panic drive.
Yeah, the panic drive. He is weaving through traffic, running red lights, screaming into his burner phone. And it turns out Bryan Cranston wasn't actually driving.
Not at all.
In fact, he wasn't even on the road.
Right, that entire sequence inside the car was filmed on a green screen.
Which is wild to me, because Breaking Bad prides itself on being practical. They shoot on 35mm film. They shoot on location. They love that gritty, tactile texture. Why go green screen here?
It was purely logistical. To get the exact shots they needed with Walt swerving into oncoming lanes and blowing through intersections, they would have had to shut down major arteries in Albuquerque for days.
Oh, right, the traffic.
Yeah, the budget and the city permits just wouldn't allow it. It was too massive of an undertaking for a television schedule.
Now, here is where it gets really interesting to me. I have seen people criticize that scene online. They say the lighting looks a little fake or the background looks detached from the car. But honestly, I think it works better.
I agree with you completely.
Really, why do you think so?
Because of Walt's mental state. In that moment, Walter White has fully dissociated. He is in a fugue state of pure terror.
He's not grounded in reality at all.
Exactly. The world outside the car should feel blurry and artificial. He is trapped in this metal box with his own voice and the voice of his enemy on the phone. The slight uncanniness of the green screen actually enhances the nightmare quality of the sequence.
He's like a fever dream. The background is just whizzing by like a cheap video game, and all that matters is the phone.
Exactly. Sometimes production limitations force a creative choice that ends up perfectly serving the psychology of the character. Whether it was intentional or not, it puts us right inside Walt's claustrophobia.
Okay, let us unpack the setup. Because before Walt gets in the car, he has to make a deal. And this, to me, is the darkest move he makes in the entire series.
It really is the crossing of the Rubicon. Or perhaps the second or third crossing, depending on how you count, but this one feels totally irreversible.
We open segment 2 with Walt meeting with Todd and the Uncle Jack crew. And the contrast is just so icky. Walt is trying to be the professional, and these guys are just casually wiping their glasses and drinking tea.
Walt is desperate. He feels the walls closing in on him. Jesse has gone rogue. Jesse tried to burn down his house.
Right, the gasoline everywhere.
Yeah. Walt realizes he cannot talk Jesse down anymore. The rabid dog metaphor they used in the previous episode, that is now his actual reality.
So he puts a hit out on Jesse Pinkman.
He does, and notice how much trouble he has just saying the words out loud. He dances around it. He wants the result, but he does not want to articulate the crime.
He is still trying to maintain that thin veneer of moral superiority. Like, I am not a murderer. I am just a man doing what has to be done to protect my family.
Precisely. He asks Jack to handle it. But Jack, and this is why Jack is such a terrifying villain, Jack isn't motivated by cash. Walt offers to pay him, and Jack basically just waves it off.
Jack wants the legacy.
He wants the blue. Jack knows that the blue meth is a global brand. It is the Coca-Cola of the underworld.
Right, it is priceless.
And he wants his nephew Todd to be the heir to that entire kingdom. So he makes a counteroffer. He says, I will kill Pinkman for you. But you have to cook for us. You have to teach Todd how to do it right.
This is the ultimate deal with the devil. Walt has spent 5 seasons violently protecting his formula. It is his art. It is the only thing that proves he is a genius and not just a petty criminal.
Yeah.
And now he is willing to just trade it away.
He is commodifying his life's work to pay for the death of his surrogate son. That is the equation happening here. It is tragic and it is horrifying. And the worst part is he agrees.
He agrees reluctantly, but he agrees.
He says 1 cook. That is what he tells himself to make it okay. I will do 1 cook. He thinks he can dip his toe back in, get the dirty job done, and get out. He still truly believes he has control over these men.
And that is the fatal flaw, isn't it? The sheer arrogance. He looks at Jack and sees a blunt tool he can use. He doesn't see a pack of rabid wolves that he is casually inviting into his living room.
He underestimates them because they look like roughnecks. They don't have his education. He thinks his intellect makes him the alpha in the room. But bullets do not care about your IQ.
So the hit is on. Walt goes home probably thinking he has neatly solved the problem. But meanwhile, across town, the good guys, if we could even call them that, are cooking up a plan of their own.
Which brings us to segment 3, the trap and the alliance.
Hank Gomez and Jesse. The most awkward road trip group imaginable.
It is a fascinating dynamic to watch. You have the straight-laced DEA agent, his fiercely loyal partner, and the junkie informant they both completely despise but currently really need.
Yeah, they are not friends.
Not at all. But Jesse brings the one thing Hank has been missing for a year: insight.
Hank has the evidence, or at least he has the trail of evidence, but he doesn't actually understand Walt. He thinks Walt is a monster, but he doesn't understand the specific type of monster he is dealing with.
Right. Hank wants to catch Walt with physical evidence of drugs. Or with murder weapons, standard police work.
By the book.
Exactly. But Jesse stops him. Jesse says, "You are looking at it all wrong. You cannot get him on evidence. He is too smart. He scrubbed everything."
You have to get him where he lives.
His money. Jesse understands that for Walter White, the money isn't just currency to buy things. It is the scorecard.
Oh, that is a great way to look at it.
It is the proof that he existed and mattered. It is the core justification for all the cancer, all the lies, and all the death. If you take the money, you kill Heisenberg.
But there is a massive problem. They do not know where the money is.
They know it exists. They know it is hidden in barrels. But the New Mexico desert is incredibly big, so they need a weak link. They need someone who knows something but is fragile enough to actually break under pressure.
Enter Huell Babineaux.
Poor Huell.
I really love this character. He is Saul's bodyguard. He is huge. He looks super imposing. But inside, he is just a guy who wants to go home and lay on his pile of money.
He is a mercenary, but a very low-stakes one. He is not a cartel guy. So Hank and Gomez pick him up and take him to a DEA safe house. And the scene, this interrogation, is a masterclass in psychological manipulation by Hank.
It's purely performative police work. Hank knows he has absolutely nothing on Huell, really. Not enough to hold him in a cell forever, so he has to utterly terrify him.
And he does it by weaponizing Huell's own ignorance against him. Huell knows that people around Walt tend to just disappear. He knows about Mike. He knows about the brutal prison killings.
He knows Walt is dangerous.
Right. So when Hank says Walt is tying up loose ends and you are a loose end, Huell completely believes it.
And then Hank drops the hammer, the prop.
The staged photo.
Can we talk about how intensely gruesome that photo is?
Yeah.
Hank pulls out his phone and casually shows Huell a picture of Jesse Pinkman lying on a floor with his brains seemingly blown out.
It is incredibly graphic, and to the audience for a split second, it is genuinely shocking. But we know Jesse is alive because we literally just saw him in the previous scene. For Huell, though, this is immediate confirmation of his absolute worst nightmare.
Why does this specific tactic work so well on Huell?
Because Huell isn't a hardened killer like Jack. As you said, he's a facilitator. He picks pockets. He stands guard at a door. He doesn't do wet work.
It is out of his league.
Way out of his league. Seeing that photo creates a visceral, immediate panic response. It totally bypasses his logic centers. He doesn't stop to ask, well, when did this happen, or where is the official police report? He just thinks, I am next on the chopping block.
And Lavelle Crawford, the actor playing Huell, plays this so perfectly. That little widening of the eyes, the nervous sweat, he cracks like an egg.
He spills literally everything he knows. He confesses that he and Kuby stored the money in barrels. He tells them Walt rented a van. He tells them about the shovel.
But, and this is the crucial limitation of the entire plan, he does not know the actual GPS coordinates.
Right. He knows Walt moved the money, but he doesn't know where it was taken.
So Hank has the method, but not the location. I feel like most cops would be totally stuck right there.
They would hit a wall.
Yeah. But Hank, completely energized by Jesse realizes they can use this partial information to aggressively bluff Walt.
They have enough very specific details, the rental van, the barrels, the shovel, to make Walt genuinely believe they know everything. It is a classic confidence game.
Which leads us directly into segment 4, the phone call. This is psychological warfare.
This entire sequence, it is just pure adrenaline.
Jesse sends the beat. A photo of a barrel full of cash sitting open in the dirt. Now, the notes tell us this was actually staged in Hank's backyard. It is completely fake. But to Walt.
To Walt, it looks totally real. And then the phone rings. And this is a crucial character moment. Walt actually answers it.
Why does he answer it, though? He usually ignores unknown numbers when he's being careful.
Because the threat is existential. Jesse leaves a voicemail or sends a text saying, I found it. Walt's curiosity and his deep-seated fear just completely override his usual caution.
He has to know.
He has to. And once he is on the line, Jesse starts the countdown.
He says, I am going to burn it. $10,000 a minute.
He literally puts the sound of the lighter flicking right in Walt's ear.
Click. That sound, it triggers a deeply primal panic in Walt.
And this is where we see the green screen drive we talked about earlier. Walt tears out of the car wash parking lot. He is screaming at Jesse, "Don't do it, you're an idiot, you're burning your own money."
And Jesse just keeps poking the bear. He says, "I don't care about the money, Mr. White. I care about hurting you."
And in his sheer desperation to stop the burning, Walt starts confessing. And this is so fascinating to me. He isn't confessing to the police, or so he thinks. He is confessing to Jesse just to try and win a twisted argument.
Exactly. He is desperately trying to rationalize his atrocious behavior. He brings up Brock.
The poisoning.
He screams, "I poisoned Brock, but I ensured his survival. I calculated the dose." What actually goes through a man's head to think that is a valid defense?
That is the ultimate narcissism of Walter White. He genuinely deeply believes he should be thanked for it.
Thanked for poisoning a kid.
Yes. In his mind, he made a hard executive decision to poison a child to manipulate Jesse against Gus Fring, but because he was quote-unquote smart enough to not actually kill the boy, he sees his actions as somewhat benevolent.
I didn't kill him. I just almost killed him to save you.
It is incredibly twisted logic. But in that car with the siren blaring in the background, which is actually just the sound of his own internal panic, he thinks if he can just calmly explain the overarching strategy, Jesse will finally understand.
He also confesses to the murders of the dealers. He confesses to basically everything.
And completely unbeknownst to him, Hank and Gomez are recording every single word. He is handing them the entire federal case on a silver platter.
The irony is just so thick you could cut it with a knife. Walt, the man who covers his tracks better than literally anyone, is loudly shouting his crimes into a recording device because he is simply too greedy to let his money burn.
Greed and massive arrogance. He cannot imagine a world where Jesse Pinkman outsmarts him.
Right. He thinks Jesse is beneath him.
Exactly. He assumes Jesse stumbled upon the money by sheer dumb luck. It never once occurs to him that this is an elaborate trap set by Hank.
So he arrives at Taji Lee. The coordinates are 345920. He screeches to a halt. The dust settles.
And it is completely empty.
Just the wind howling, no Jesse, no van, no fire.
And the horrible realization just washes over him. You can actually see the gears turning in Bryan Cranston's eyes. He looks down at the dirt. It is totally undisturbed.
He has been had.
And in that singular moment of extreme vulnerability, he spots a car on the horizon.
Now, this is a highly critical decision point for Walt. He is panicked. He thinks Jesse is coming to kill him right then and there. Maybe Jesse hired hitmen. So what does he do?
He immediately goes back to the deal with the devil. He grabs his phone and calls Jack.
He gives him the GPS coordinates. He says, "I am pinned down. Get here now."
He is literally calling in an airstrike. He wants the neo-Nazis to come out and completely wipe out whoever is in that approaching car.
But then the car gets a little closer.
Yeah.
And he sees who is actually in it.
He sees Jesse. But Jesse is not driving. Hank is driving, and Gomez is right there in the passenger seat.
And everything just violently stops.
This is segment 5, the showdown. This is the moment that completely defines the rest of the series. Walt realizes his enemy isn't a rival cartel gang or a hired hitman. It is his actual family. It is Hank.
And Walt has one rule, the one single rule he has never ever broken. You do not kill family.
He can mentally justify killing Gail. He can justify killing Mike. He can justify having all those prison witnesses brutally stabbed. But Hank is completely off limits.
So he yells into the phone, "Don't come call it off."
He desperately tries to put the terrible genie back in the bottle. Forget I called, do not come.
But Jack is already on the move.
And the cell connection is really spotty out there. Did Jack actually hear him? Did he even care if he did hear him? Walt just drops the phone. He realizes in that moment he is completely checkmated.
The surrender scene. This felt so incredibly surreal when I first watched it on television. Walter White, the great Heisenberg, just slowly walks out from behind a red rock and puts his hands up.
It is a picture of total, absolute defeat. He takes off his glasses.
Oh, the glasses.
That gesture is so incredibly significant. The glasses are a key part of the Heisenberg mask. Taking them off reveals the tired, weak, dying man underneath the myth.
Hank gets out of the car. He has his gun drawn. Police drop it.
Walt just freezes. He drops the gun in the dirt.
And Hank walks up and handcuffs him. He reads him his Miranda rights. "Walter White, you have the right to remain silent."
Hearing those specific words spoken to the main character after 5 long seasons of watching him get away with everything, it felt like the show was literally ending right there. It felt like, okay, they finally got him. That is the end of the story.
It is a moment of immense, profound catharsis for Hank. He finally, after all this time, got his man. He looks at Walt and says, hey, I got you.
And for a very brief, fleeting moment, the world makes sense again. The bad guy is in cuffs. The good guy won the day.
But then the emotional temperature violently spikes again. Jesse walks up.
Jesse is physically shaking. He is looking at the man who repeatedly manipulated him, abused him, and poisoned his girlfriend's young son. And Walt is finally completely powerless now.
So Jesse spits on him. Right in the face. A huge moment of humiliation.
And Walt, even while in cuffs, even totally defeated, his massive ego simply cannot handle that level of disrespect. He lunges at Jesse. He tries to headbutt him or bite him. It is just purely animalistic.
Gomez and Hank have to quickly pull them apart. They're yelling, hey, cut it out. It is really messy. It is not a dignified mastermind villain defeat at all. It is a pathetic, ugly scuffle in the dirt.
It totally strips away the Heisenberg myth. Walt isn't an evil genius here. He is just a nasty, angry old man getting forcefully shoved into the backseat of a police SUV.
So Walt is locked in Gomez's car. Jesse is put in Walt's car. And Hank makes a phone call to Marie.
Which brings us to segment 6, the false ending and the cliffhanger. The writers give us one collective breath.
Hank calls Marie Schrader and delivers the line, I have him.
It is without a doubt the happiest Hank has been in years. He is absolutely beaming. He tells her it is finally over. He says it may be a while before I am home, but baby, I am coming home.
Oh, God. That line, I am coming home, in the language of cinema, that is basically signing your own tragic death warrant.
It is the ultimate retiree trope. You know, the cop who is exactly one day away from retirement, or the soldier in the trench who shows his buddy a picture of his girl back home.
It is a curse.
It is. Whatever character in a tense drama says it is over, I am safe, you know, the heavy axe is about to fall.
And fall, it absolutely does. Because Walt is sitting in the back of the SUV, and he looks in the rearview mirror.
And he sees the dust kicking up on the horizon.
Not just one car either. 2 heavy trucks.
Jack and the Brotherhood have arrived. They completely ignored the cancellation order. Or maybe they didn't hear it. Or more likely, they saw the GPS coordinates and realized that is exactly where the millions of dollars are buried.
Walt's face, in that precise moment, it is pure, unadulterated horror. He starts violently screaming again, Jack, don't do it.
But he is completely trapped inside the soundproof glass of the SUV. No one outside can hear a word he is saying. He is literally a helpless spectator at his own family's funeral.
The trucks aggressively pull up. And the blocking here by MacLaren is so incredibly intimidating. These guys pile out of the vehicles. They have tactical vests on. They are holding automatic rifles. They slowly line up.
And Hank and Gomez, they are horribly outgunned. They have standard-issue pistols and 1 shotgun. They are standing out in the wide-open desert. The Nazis have the heavy vehicles for solid cover.
The standoff ensues. It is classic high-noon Western tension. You hear the desert wind whistling. You get these tight close-ups on everyone's eyes. Hank is yelling, police, drop your weapons, identify yourselves.
And Jack is just casually chewing his gum. Kenny is calmly polishing his glasses. They do not respect the badge at all. They just see 2 minor obstacles standing between them and a massive winning lottery ticket.
Walt is frantically banging his head and hands on the window. No. He knows exactly what is about to happen.
And then the tension finally snaps.
Kenny abruptly opens fire.
And the whole world just violently explodes.
It is not a beautifully choreographed, cinematic, slow-motion gunfight either. It is incredibly loud, chaotic, and totally overwhelming. Bullets are absolutely shredding the SUV. Glass is flying everywhere.
Gomez and Hank are pinned down almost instantly. They are desperately taking cover behind the thin car door, which offers almost absolutely no real protection against high-caliber automatic rounds.
Jesse is terrified and cowering under the dashboard of Walt's car. Walt is curled up in a tight ball on the floor of the SUV, trying to avoid the hail of bullets.
And the editing here by Kelly Dixon is incredibly frantic. It rapidly cuts from the bright muzzle flashes to Walt's terrified screaming face to Hank bravely firing back with his pistol.
And then, right in the middle of the deafening battle, black.
Cut to black. Executive producer Vince Gilligan.
The sheer audacity of the creative team to end the episode right there in that exact second.
It was the ultimate television cliffhanger. You have the lives of literally every major character hanging completely in the balance. The screen goes totally dark, and you are just left sitting in your living room in total silence with your heart pounding out of your chest.
I remember vividly throwing a couch pillow at my TV screen. I physically needed to know what happened next right then.
It was a wildly brilliant, strategic move by AMC and the creators. It completely ensured that everyone, and I mean everyone, would be frantically tuning in for the next episode, Ozymandias.
Let us talk about the reception in segment 7. Because obviously an episode this intense made massive waves.
It was a cultural phenomenon. The original broadcast viewership jumped to 5.11 million people, which was up significantly from the previous week's 4.41 million.
Wow, that is a big jump.
Yeah, the intense word of mouth was spreading rapidly. People were saying, you absolutely have to watch this live. You cannot wait.
And the critics, how did they react?
They were totally floored by it. Tim Surratt over at TV.com called it a direct hit and said it was potentially one of the best episodes of the entire series. Seth Amidon at IGN gave it a perfect 10 out of 10 score.
A perfect 10 that is rare.
Deservedly so, though. He highly praised the pacing, the shocking twists, and the masterful direction. He astutely noted that the show had somehow managed to make us root for Hank. Hank aggressively despised Walt, deeply pity Jesse, and utterly fear the Nazis all at the exact same time.
The Ringer, much later on in 2019, actually ranked it as the 11th best episode out of all 62 episodes of the series, which in a show with a baseline caliber this high is legendary top-tier status.
And we absolutely cannot forget the editing awards. Kelly Dixon was officially nominated for Outstanding Single-Camera Picture Editing for a drama series for this specific episode.
Did she win?
She actually lost, but she only lost to the editor of the series finale, Felina. So Breaking Bad basically owned that entire category that year.
So as we wrap up this incredibly tense journey, let us try to synthesize all of this information. What is the big thematic takeaway of Tuajili?
For me, the biggest takeaway is about the dangerous illusion of control. Walter White spent 5 grueling seasons truly believing he could neatly compartmentalize his chaotic life.
Like keeping the two lives separate.
Exactly. He deeply thought he could be a ruthless drug lord from 9 to 5 and a warm family man on the weekends. He actually thought he could hire brutal murderers to do his bidding, but somehow keep his own hands perfectly clean.
And this episode violently smashes that entire illusion into pieces.
Completely. The two separate worlds finally forcefully collide out in the desert. The criminal world, represented by Jack, aggressively arrives to kill the family world, represented by Hank. And Walt is just hopelessly stuck right in the middle, handcuffed, entirely unable to stop it.
It is the ultimate consequence of every single dark shortcut he ever took. He hired Jack to cleanly solve a problem, and now Jack is the absolute worst problem he has ever faced.
It is the classic Shakespearean tragedy structure. The tragic anti-hero creates the exact instrument of his own terrible destruction.
And the poetic irony of the physical location. The exact place where he very first broke bad is the exact place where his life finally breaks completely apart.
He fully surrendered. That is the one thing that still really haunts me about this episode. He actually gave up his empire. He was fully willing to go to a federal prison just to save Hank's life.
But it was just way too late.
Way too late. The dark, violent forces he originally set in motion were already aggressively rolling forward. You cannot unring the bell. You cannot uncall the hit.
Well, here is a final provocative thought for you, the listener. A dark little nugget to carefully chew on. Walt screams, "Don't come to Jack on the phone." He peacefully surrenders to Hank. In his own twisted mind, he made the right moral choice at the very last possible second. But does that actually matter?
That is the ultimate philosophical question of the show.
Right, like if you build a highly destructive bomb and you purposely light the fuse and then you suddenly genuinely regret it 5 seconds before it blows up, are you still a bomber?
I think the bloody shootout in the desert gave us the definitive answer to that. The bomb went off regardless of his regrets.
Indeed it did.
And next time we do a deep dive, we really have to talk about the toxic radioactive fallout of that bomb. Because if you somehow thought this week was intense, Ozymandias is coming.
I am definitely going to need a very stiff drink before we sit down to record that one.
Oh, me too. Absolutely.
Thank you all so much for listening to the deep dive. Go rewatch the episode. Closely look at those wide desert shots. Look at the sheer terror in Cranston's eyes. And we will see you on the other side.